Hello, my bookish darlings! I want to give you 10 reasons to read, or not read, Nona the Ninth by Tamsyn Muir. Who am I? I am the booktube goddess, the #1 drag queen booktuber on YouTube. Reason number 10, you've already read Gideon the Ninth and Hera the Ninth, and Nona the Ninth is the next book in the series. I believe this is going to be a quartet. That's 4 books total. So there's going to be one more book in this series. At least that's my understanding. Please correct me if I'm wrong down in the comments. By the way, if you're down in the comments, go ahead and like this video and subscribe to my channel. Now, personally, I really loved the first book in this series, Gideon the Ninth. I thought the voice was spectacular. I was just in love with Gideon, and the plot was fun. It was mostly a mystery type of plot, and I just adored Gideon. I have to tell you, I was a little disappointed in Hera the Ninth because we no longer had that wonderful voice of Gideon. But that didn't stop me from wanting to run out and get Nona the Ninth because it's just such a fascinating story and such unique writing. Reason number 9, complicated plots. If you love complicated plots, you're going to love Nona the Ninth. This is a continuing, twisted, convoluted pretzel of a plot. And if you don't like complicated plots, that may be a reason not to read this. I found myself having to go and look at plot summaries for Gideon the Ninth and, more importantly, Hera the Ninth to understand what was going on in Nona the Ninth, because it's very, very complicated. If you like that, that's a big plus for Nona. If you don't, reason number 8 are the interludes. Now, the interludes are kind of interesting in Nona the Ninth because they are flashbacks from long ago to figure out how these techno-necromancers came to be. And they are interesting, but I found myself, especially on the longer interludes, wishing they would just end because I wanted to get back to the plot of Nona. So informative, sometimes interesting, but I found them a little bit distracting. I don't know how you will feel about it. If you've already read Nona, let me know down below in the comments. But for me, they were hit or miss. Reason 7 is the world building. This is some of the most interesting and intriguing world building I've come across in some time. And if you've already read Gideon and Hera, you'll understand how Tamsyn Muir mixes this far future technology with magic, with metaphysics. It's very intriguing, and I think this is one of the highlights of this series. Reason number 6 is Noodle the dog, the 6-legged dog who moved around kind of like a little caterpillar. I thought this was just a fun little character who humanized several of the characters and was just fun to read about, especially putting on little bootsies on this 6-legged dog. Now, in the dramatis personae at the beginning, it seemed like there was more dogs, but really it's Noodle that steals the show as far as dogs go. Reason number 5, unconventional family. Now, if you like unconventional families, you may be intrigued by the family of Nona. Nona is kind of a cipher character, but she reads very, very young. It was almost as though I was reading the perspective of a character in a middle grade novel, but she's supposed to look 14 but be 18, but actually be maybe something else. Fascinating character. But really what's fascinating about Nona is she has sort of this 3-parent family, Pyrrha, Camilla, and Palamedes, who you may recognize from some of the earlier novels in the series, but the relationship among these 3 is funny, it's totally unconventional, and remarkably not so much sexual, but there is this intimacy, this strange dynamic among them. I just loved seeing the interaction of these three people and Nona, of course. The fourth reason to read Nona the Ninth is the angel. And no, I'm not talking about one of those angels. I'm talking about this middle-aged woman, I believe, who is nicknamed the Angel by the students where she teaches science at this school that Nona goes to. And the Angel is also the owner of Noodle, the six-legged dog. And this is a fascinating character because if you have read Gideon and Harrow, you know that the characters are often removed from humanity. They're just really, really out there. The Angel, on the other hand, is firmly human, at least the most human of all the characters you're going to meet so far in the Locked Tomb series. But of course, the Angel is more than they seem, and part of the joy of reading Nona the Ninth is figuring out where that goes. The number 3 reason to read Nona the Ninth is hot sauce. Yes, I said hot sauce. And no, I'm not talking about the condiment you put onto tacos. I'm talking about a student at the school whose nickname is Hot Sauce. She is severely burned and has a lot of scars, but she is still the leader of the group of children that Nona hangs out with and who Nona almost worships. Very fascinating, intriguing character. Hot sauce. The number 2 reason to read Nona the Ninth is Nona. Nona is fascinating. Like I said, she appears to be 14. She's actually physically 18, I believe, but she reads much, much younger because she is a cipher character. You never quite know what she is or who she is or how she remembers. Now, most of the novel is written in first person from Nona's point of view, of course, with the exception of those interludes, but I just kept coming back, wanting to read more and more just because of Nona, just because I was so curious about Nona, and she was just such a delightful character. Which brings us to the number 1 reason to read Nona the Ninth, and that is the voice. Tamsyn Muir has this ability to create some of the most unique voices I've ever read. Now, in Gideon the Ninth, I was just in love with this butch, tough, humorous, salty warrior woman. And Harrow the Ninth, I didn't fall in love with that character as much, but in Nona the Ninth, once again, I really fell in love with the voice of this character. She was just so unreliable as a narrator, but so full of personality and humor and innocence. There's a key word for Nona. She just had so much innocence that just came through from her voice. And that's what keeps me coming back to reading Tamsyn Muir. It's not only the elevated writing, but it's the voice that she's able to imbue into her prose. I'm not a huge fan of the incredibly convoluted plots and story, although I appreciate some of the unique things that's being done in this story. And yeah, I will be picking up the 4th and final book. At least I hope it's the final book. And I can't wait to see what Tamsyn Muir's next project is after the Locked Tomb series. And if you haven't guessed, yes, Nona the Ninth does get my blessing. Have you read Tamsyn Muir? If so, let me know down in the comments what your favorite part of her writing is. Like I said, for me, it is definitely the voice. Until we meet again, may all the books you read be blessed.